Hi, it's Lou Theodore and it's day 85 of 100 videos in 100 days. And I'm coming to you from my front garden, squinting into the sunshine, which has actually become a kind of sub-theme, hasn't it, to some of these videos. But today I wanted to talk about thought storms and getting lost in a thought storm. So people that know me well, know me personally, will probably chuckle with recognition if I describe myself as a recovering binge thinker. So for most of my life, the vast majority of my life, I have been a very analytical thinker. I've given great weight and importance to my thoughts. I have spent a long time, on occasions, analysing situations. And the louder the thoughts were, the faster they were, the more urgent I felt the situation was, and the more directly and loudly I felt the need to communicate what I was thinking to another person. Now that's changed really dramatically for me, because I've got to realise that actually my thinking is not where solutions are. It's not where new thought is. It's generally very repetitive, and it's very, very stale old solutions that get churned out. Things I've heard a million times before, problems I've heard a million times before. And I think this plays out particularly loudly in personal relationships, where there's always the opportunity for more expectation, more frustration, more irritation. So what do I do now? Well, the first thing to say is I still get regularly caught up in my own thinking and do not realise that I am just caught up in thinking. I am blind to it on many occasions. But I think it's what he's doing or she's doing or what is happening outside of me that is the major problem, right? So I'm blind to that. When my thinking calms down a little bit, I can see that actually it's not that external situation, and it's rarely that person. It is what I think about that situation. It is how I am resisting that situation. It's how I am judging it. That is where all the pain and the struggle is. So what do you do then? What do you do, given that we're all human, we're all fallible, we're all flawed, and thank God for that, because who would want perfect people? What do you do when you feel yourself, and I can feel it, is almost like a slightly physical feeling, although it's definitely all in my head, when I feel really compelled and preoccupied and lost in thought about something. This is what I do. This is what I try to do, and quite often I fail, but this is what I try to do. I try to somehow remember that, first of all feelings are transient. So no matter how awful or angry or depressed or whatever I'm feeling in that moment, that it will pass. It is finite. It is not here forever. It is never here forever. It will pass. And it will pass without me doing anything. It will just lift. I think we've all had situations where we've been feeling really dire. We just carry on with our day, and somehow something just clicked and we're kind of out of that mood, out of that feeling. So it's remembering that it's transient. That's the first thing. Now, if I'm really lucky, I might remember that actually the thing that I'm pointing out that's outside of me isn't actually the problem. But that depends how big the thought storm is, because if it's really massive, I forget that continually. I can't access that wisdom. It just kind of disappears and all I see is the thought. The other thing I try to do is look beyond the thinking. So when it's rattling around, how dare they do that? That is not acceptable. Who would think that's possibly acceptable? La da la, yada yada yada. You can try and look beyond the thinking. Okay, kind of nod at it. I think this is a sort of Buddhist approach, that you kind of notice the train of thought, but you don't get engaged with the content. It's almost like mentally saying, oh yeah, right, thanks for showing up, thanks for that, and just moving on, but not engaging with it, not going further and further into the thinking spiral. The other thing, which again, I forget, but is incredibly useful, is if you're feeling in a low mood, if you're feeling things are not right, that you're not happy, that you're feeling anxious about something or disgruntled about something, your thinking will be very loud. And that is absolutely the worst time to try and solve it. The worst possible time. Because all you hear in those situations, all you can kind of dredge up is old stale thinking, based on the past, based on repetitive patterns. If you want to find a new solution, if you want to look at something differently, if you perhaps, you're just hoping to get a bit of inspiration, a bit of insight about something, then is the worst time. So, kind of relationship in crisis, then is not the time to talk about it when you're both feeling really emotional and really stirred up. Just had a row with a friend, when the emotions are all whizzing around, then is not a great time to try and solve it. So what do you do then? Well, you just recognise that actually, if you want to access something new, something innovative, a new way of looking at something, don't do it when you're in a low mood. It's like, don't discuss relationship problems when you're in a low mood. How do you change your mood? You don't. Or I think it can be difficult to do. I'm not saying impossible, but it can be difficult to do. What I personally do, what I try to do, is wait till my thinking calms down. Wait till I just less obsessed by that certain thing, there's less thoughts rattling around in my head, and then I may go back to that issue, then I may initiate a conversation. And you know what? Always, that is when the solutions appear, the new ideas, the new thoughts, the new behaviours, a different sort of enthusiasm or approach. That's always when it happens, never when you're in that crappy old thinking. So that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on thoughts and thought storms. And, just saying, no, this is not the right time to delve into it, has been incredibly helpful, because in the past for me, that is exactly when I would dive feet first in with a loud splash, because my thinking was loud, urgent, faster, and I thought that was an indication that my action should follow through and be equally as loud and equally as urgent. But it isn't that way. It doesn't work that way. All you get is more of the same if you do that. A much better way is to look past the thinking as best you can, wait for it to quieten down, and when it quietens down, when you're feeling better about things, then is the time for the conversations. So that's what I'm thinking on Sunday morning. I am actually going to go out for lunch today. What a massively nice treat is that. So going out for lunch, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. So I hope you're all having a lovely Sunday, and I will check in tomorrow.